Once you have a naming convention for the Macs in your fleet, you want to automate getting that naming convention deployed to those Macs and set up in your Jamf Pro server so that you can leverage that information to deploy workflows and service client devices. That's what we're going to talk about today. So first things first, we're looking at a script that returns the username to Jamf Pro, and it's going to exclude some of the following accounts because we don't want those set up or returned to Jamf Pro. So what this does in short is once the username is set to the computer, which is going to be like the user's first name and last name because it's pulling what they use at login when the computer's first created, it's going to go into the Jamf inventory and set the computer name. So for example, we can see my computer is named B. Crockett, and that comes from the B. Crockett MDM capable user. So when this computer was first logged in, it was logged in as B. Crockett, and that's what the script pulled to set. So that's pretty cool. And now I can set there's all sorts of workflows that can be built around that computer name, and it doesn't have to be updated automatically. All right, now let's talk about this other script called return the username, which is runs at reoccurring check-in. There's also a custom trigger by name, which I don't really use anymore, so that's just kind of extra. I need to delete it, but custom triggers can be really cool. You can use a custom trigger to daisy chain a policy, and so make sure you Google custom triggers and read about what they are in the Jamf Nation community if you're not familiar with them. And if you want me to make a video about that in the future, please put that in the comments below. So this is scoped to a smart group called network name is default, and there's there's exclusions to computer has a username. So we'll look at that scope and audit its configuration so we can understand it better. And all the work we're doing here is also a good way to, if you've inherited a Jamf Pro server, tune it up by familiarizing yourself with what's in there and taking notes on that and making it better if it needs to be made better, or deleting it if it can be deleted. And just understanding what it is by auditing configurations that you're now responsible for. Okay, so this is a smart computer group, and let's look at it. Looking at this smart group here, we can see that there are 4 criteria, which is computer name, operator, MacBook Air, root, and MS setup user. After that, we can look at reports, dependencies of the smart computer group, and we can see 4 other policies, all centered around naming. You can see that these are different tests from June last year when I did a big refresh of the fleet, and I really wanted to make sure all my computers had good naming conventions as quickly as possible, and that was automated so that I could easily, remote into computers by their username when they're on the same subnet, and use future smart groups scoped towards computers with usernames that are filtered using regular expression so that I can scope policies in a smart manner to growing and shrinking subsets of computers. So in short, automation, 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 daisy chaining automation workflows. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the criteria a little slower because it's very important, and you have to do it on both sides of the coin for each one of these policies. So let's get into it. On the criteria side, we have 3 criteria, each on the computer name. Operators like across all 3, and or is set to or for the bottom 2, and the values are MacBook Air, root, and MBS, or M_MacBook setup user. and it's abbreviated as MB at the start, or underscore MB. So those are the defaults you'll see for computers as they boot from the factory and join the same subnet. And that is so important because this is how we scale the smart group. Computer boots, it has one of these three names, it's put into the smart group. We want to exclude computers that don't have these names. So this is what we do. On the same policy where we're targeting, we're excluding computers that have a username that is not blank. So if it doesn't have a username, it's not going to get included. It's going to be excluded. So that value is blank. Then we have an and for computer name, not like. And then we do the MacBook setup user again, and an and, not like, root. So if it's got a username of blank, we want to exclude it. And if it's not like these two default values we are targeting on the include side with the like operator, we also want to exclude it. Those are very important pieces of the puzzle to balance this equation for our automatically growing and shrinking smart group as computers hop onto Jamf after they pre-stage and roll where they can get smart group allocations. This is another script that's set up to set the computer name, the host name, and the local host name, then flush the cache, then do a Jamf recon, and it has the same scope, right? So I have redundant scripts to do the same thing. And having that computer name set helps for airdropping, helps for, as I said, remoting to computers, and the regular expression piece. This is another script that we're looking at. Let's slow this down a little bit. So we can see another bash script that's going to pull the name at the login window. So this is really important because this is the root of what we want to happen is we want to take that name at the login window and set it as the computer name. So then the computer name can be set as the network name, and the network name can be set as the local host name. And so that in our other script, the computer name that's saved in the Jamf inventory can match the login window name, which is the local user account name, right? So I'm just going through all the layers of these system settings to try and pull this one variable or one value and apply it across the field of values that I want to be the same so that I can unlock more automated workflows. So this 7-line script does this really well. I didn't write this. It came from the Jamf Nation community, and it does exactly what I needed to do. So if you're not great at bash scripting, but you are good at visualizing how a potential workflow could help you automate a problem you're facing so that you don't have to do it individually on every client machine, right? You're leveraging your MDM. Search Jamf Nation community or other Mac admin communities. Chances are someone's already solved the problem you're facing or parts of it, and you can grab their solution and apply it to your needs. That's what I did here. All right, let's recap what we talked about today. We've talked about how you can use scripting to automate naming conventions across your computer fleet in a Jamf Pro server. We've talked about how you can configure smart groups so that the policies that have these scripts deploy in an automated fashion. So we're building the layers of, let's just say, a cake for good metaphorical speak of automation. So we're automating at the level of assigning usernames. We're automating at the level of doing that within policies, having good smart groups so that computers are automatically included. We don't have to manually put them in the policies so that they get these usernames by automation. And then that further allows us to use regular expression to scope policies based on computer names which match our unique username convention. And you can have one that's specific to your organization that takes some good thought and engineering, and honestly it takes years to get really good at. So you got to start somewhere. Hope this helps. If you saw something that I missed or can make this better, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around.